Hello good people and welcome back to Level Up Your Tactics. Today we'll look at some classic tactical with a smidgen of strategic ideas from the greatest of all time, arguably, well, Magnus Carlsen himself. Let's level up your pattern recon, your calculation, and our ELO. Let's get it! Today we'll look at 3 tactical positions. But before I begin and before I forget, if you do find this content helpful and it's helping your ELO somewhat, please leave a like and sub. You have my gratitude. Let's get started. The first game is between Magnus Carlsen and Alberto Santos Flores. Magnus is up material, up a rook, the exchange, although his king looks like it's in a line of fire, except it's not. This pawn on a2 is serving as a shield against this open file. And currently the black queen is attacking the knight on f3, so Magnus hits, and then eyes this square, and then forces the exchange, which the opponent agrees with. And here the opponent does not want to exchange, because that would dilute the position. Magnus is up a piece. After c6, here Magnus finds a dynamic counter idea. And I'd like you guys to have a look at that and see if you can find it. In 3, 2, 1. Magnus plays queen to f4, which is a good move. And with queen to f4, there's a strong and direct threat on f7. And if you get a little greedy, mind you, leaving your king in the middle, well, you have queen takes on f7. And now this crazy move that is not part of the exercise that Magnus will likely find is g5. g5 is a brilliant move, because after takes, it allows this idea of a luft, and after that, a check. Mind you, checkmate is being threatened, but you have to defend because the king is stuck in the middle with this move, and check. You go back, this and this leads to a mate. So after queen to f4, good move, the opponent castles. And here, Magnus is pointing at the dark square diagonal and finds the strongest move, which ends the game. Can you guys find that move? It is a direct threat against the king. Go for it in 3, 2, 1. Magnus finds the brilliant queen to a4, sacrificing the bishop, because if you do, it simply takes. And all other options, yeah, you could have this fancy checkmate. Second position is a nice combination of tactics, but mostly strategic ideas. It starts with captures here, an exchange, rook takes, knight to b5, removing the knight there on the diagonal. And here the opponent plays knight to e6. And guess what Magnus played? Go ahead in 3, 2, and 1. Magnus played rook takes on e6. Strong move. Not brilliant, strong, detectable. After that move, bishop to b3, sniping the light squares. Takes. And here, what would you play? What would you play as Magnus? This position, Magnus played knight to d4. You could likely take here, but why not maximize your advantage? This piece is out of play at the moment. Centralize it, maintain the pin, and you can't push because the king gets hit. So after rook takes, hit the queen. Queen is hit with the idea of a discovery. So if you go to a stupid move like that, you lose your queen. If you go here, you get cooked. So in the game, the opponent just moved away from the knight L. So now takes. And somehow the opponent played rook to b3 and resigned. And mind you, it's not the most brilliant of moves that Magnus did, but it's just a combination of a good amount of strategy, maintaining the pin there. If you take here, then this is weak, that is weak. You've got bishop to h6, king moves. Now you have this, removing the defender. So although you're down material, these bishops are a bunch of snipers and they're just gonna wreck the position. Idea is to hit and pin. And yeah, the position is a slow or fast squeeze, depending on how you look at it. The third and final position is a game between Magnus Carlsen, that's his name, Carlsen, and Sergei Zygalko. Magnus plays as white and is threatening Mr. Zygalko, who plays queen to d2, queen to queen. Now, Magnus can opt to remove this, and then maybe fair trade, but Magnus understands the dynamics and the urgency of this passer. I can't draw. So he plays the first move, queen to g4. And what does that do? Evidently, a checkmate threat is being threatened. So a horrible move like this leads to just outright loss. After takes you get mated. And even if you don't take, well, you're going to get absolutely cooked if you push the pawn away with ideas here. Check. Yeah. And mate. So that's not what happened in the game. After this, of course, you have to defend. And he plays f6. Looks logical. And here, I'm going to pause the video, because Magnus plays with sheer accuracy and brutality. Can you find the tactic that Magnus played here? With the idea that the king is pinned, and I'll go with that. Maybe not too many hints. The answer in 3, 2, 1. Magnus plays the brilliant bishop takes on f6. And what happens if you do take? Well, takes with check, and this drops. So that's not what happened in the game. After takes, and you can't take, of course, because you're pinned. Bishop to c7. And now Magnus finds the whole intent of this move, and the next move is, well, you go solve it. There is a mate threat here, defended by c7. What is the next move? In 3, 2, and 1. Magnus finds, rook takes on c3. Of course, if you take here, you get absolutely checkmated. So, he took with the rook there. And here, rook to c7, renewing the threat of mate. It's the idea of mate. And here, this looks brittle, so queen to f2. But that is leagues behind the threat that Magnus has on the king, and mind you, this is kind of hanging. So in this position, black actually resigned. It's just too much, and I'll show you why it's too much. Because after, say, rook to f7, another brilliant move, rook takes on b3. And why is that brilliant? Because after takes, notice how this is weak. And after check, you can't go down here. So if you go down here, you get absolutely barbecued. So your only option is queen blocks. Then now you have queen to e6. You go back, you lose your queen. After this move, simply takes. The king moves out. You take this, or you take this. Takes this first. Recheck. Push the pawn. Absolutely, absolutely winning the game. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Not super tactical, but we got some strategic ideas there. Hope it helps your game. I'll see you guys later. Double peace.